Hello and welcome to another review by Robin the Reviewer. Today we are reviewing the Jackery solar generator. This is the Jackery Explorer 300 Plus. So as always, comes very well packaged from Jackery. We've got the full tech spec on the back, and this is the 300 Plus as its capacity is very close to 300 watt hours. It's 288 watt hours, but it also will cope with 300 watt continuous output. I believe the peak is possibly even higher than that. So on output we've got 300 watt rated, 600 watt surge. So you won't cope with 600 for very long, but it will cope continuously with 300 at 230 volts. So that's mains output. We've also got USB-A outputs of 15 watts maximum, and USB-C output of 100 watts, which is very good. And then we've obviously got inputs on this, so we can charge this from solar, which is why it's a solar generator. And that will cope with anything from 12 to 27 volts, maximum of 100 watts. So we could pair this with the Solar Saga 80 for its 80 watts of output, and that would work very well with this. We can also charge it from AC, so we can keep it charged up from the mains when we're not out and about, and also over the input we could charge it from other sources. I think we can charge it from a car as well. So let's get into this and have a look. As always, well packaged, so we have to remove the tab at the back, and then once we are in, we have a package of accessories. We shall look at that in a minute. We've got the user manual, we shall have a look at that as well in a minute, and we have a manual for the app setup. So some of the latest versions of Jackery power generators, solar generators, support the use of an app, and the app lets you monitor the device, both input and output, and I think also set some additional settings which possibly can only be set from the app. So worth having a look at. Then under some decent protective foam, we've got the generator. As I mentioned before, there are two manuals with this product. So we've got the manual for the app, which will run on iOS and on Android, either from the Google Play or the Apple Store, and this guides you through getting it installed and connecting it, binding it to your device. In fact, actually, because it's got various languages in it, there's just this two-page spread really. I think everything else is covered from the app itself, so you just need to follow these instructions in order to get your app on and get it connected to your device. And then you've got the ability to monitor it and control it, and I think there are a few extra settings that you can set directly through the app. The other manual is the normal user manual for the 300 Plus, and this goes through the full spec, the controls, an explanation of the display, how to charge it, use of the energy saving mode, and use as an emergency power system. That's where you keep it connected to the mains, and how it will just keep the device that you've connected running even if the mains gets interrupted. We've got some information about fault codes and the basic operation, and how to connect it up, how to charge it, how to connect up the Jackery Solar Saga solar panels, how to connect different combinations of solar panels and different models of solar panels, how to charge it in the car. That is a different cable which I don't think is included with this. I think you would have to get that extra cable, and then information on safety precautions and warranty information before you get to the next language. So, important information about the warranty. You've got a 3-year standard warranty, and then you get a 2-year extended warranty if you've activated it. I think if you've purchased direct through Jackery, that is done automatically. Mine certainly was, but I think if you've purchased it from elsewhere, you need to go online and register it. And I think it's a good idea. I think it is mentioned in one manual that I've read that once you've received it, you should fully charge it, and that your warranty may possibly not be valid if you haven't fully charged it within a certain period of receiving it. That may only apply to larger units, but it's probably a good idea anyway, just to be sure that the unit is fully working sooner rather than later. But I've had no problems, and hopefully you don't either. So now that we've got the solar generator, the Jackery Explorer 300 Plus out of the box, we can see it's got a nice fold-up handle, which is flush when it's folded down. When it's up, it's got a nice grip under it for easy portability. It's not that heavy a unit, so good for keeping in the boot of the car, taking out and about, camping, caravanning, anything like that. It's even just for parties where you need some use of a mains device, perhaps at the bottom of a garden, rather than running a long cable. You can run 300 watts off this, so that counts for quite a few devices. If it's a music player, stereo system, even some lighting, you could run quite a lot from this. And if you have the option, then you can keep it charged up with solar. So if it's a nice sunny party, you are getting free energy. So the controls, let's have a look around it. We've got only ventilation on the side. We've got nothing on the back other than information. On the other side we do have a 3-pin kettle socket. So this is to plug the mains cable in for recharging from the mains. It looks like the standard 3-pin kettle lead socket, so even if you forget your own Jackery one, I think a standard kettle lead would fit that and give you the power that you needed. Maximum 10 amps, so it will charge up to 10 amps. Obviously depends on the battery level at the time. And then we've got the controls on the front. So looking at the front of the unit, we've got a 12 volt DC socket here, similar to the cigarette lighter socket. We've got the power button, we've got the LCD display currently covered with a protective film. We've got the button here for the light, so we've got a built-in like emergency light, handy if you're out and about in the dark, just provide you a little bit of light without having to plug something extra into it. You've got the 230 volt AC output, maximum 300 watt, and as it clearly says here, it's pure sine wave. So just be aware that this is basically a battery with an inverter built onto it that gives you 230, 240 volt AC output. Now there are many inverters which don't include the battery part, just change 12 volt inputs to a 240, 230 AC output, but they're modified sine wave, not pure sine wave. This is pure sine wave. The difference is that pure sine wave can run any appliance exactly as it would work at home. A modified sine wave, as it says, is not quite the same as a pure sine wave, and it isn't good enough to run certain appliances, or it will actually cause damage to certain appliances, depending on whether they've got motors in them, whether they've got capacitors in them, whether they're inductive. You can research online. If you look at the difference between pure sine wave and modified sine wave, it's worth being aware, just in case you are looking at others that don't say that they are pure sine wave. They may well be the cheaper modified sine wave, and that can damage certain appliances and can restrict what you can plug into it. You certainly wouldn't want to plug certain delicate electronics into it if they require pure sine wave input, which a lot of appliances do. So just be aware of that. We've also got another button over here which controls the USB outputs. Now this socket here, it's USB-C, this is USB-C as well. They are different in that this one is just out, as it says above it. This one here is in and out, and this is how you plug in solar panels. We'll have a look at the accessories that came with this in a moment, and you'll see why. This again is an output, so these two give you USB 5V output, and this one gives you USB output but also is an input. So we need to power the unit on, and you can see the little light comes on there, and then we get this nice dark backlit display, and you can see the battery level here at 100%, and this kind of circle around it showing the level. I think this also scrolls round if it's charging. You can see input wattage over here, and you can see output wattage over there. You can also see these flashing indicators for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. That relates to the app. So now that it's on, we can turn the light on. I think if I press it again, I get SOS. And press it again and it's off. And if I want to use the 230 AC output, I need to press that button on so that I've got the output. This just helps preserve battery, so only turn that on if you want to actually use that output, and only turn this on if you want to use the USB output. And when you're done with it all, press and hold the power button and it goes off again. So that's the main controls of it. Let's plug it in and have a look at it both charging and being used as a power supply. So now we want to test the output and using its battery capacity in order to run some devices. So we should turn it back on, and once that is powered up, we can see the display. We can see we've got 100% battery, and if we turn on the USB side, I can plug in a USB-C to lightning connector and plug that into that phone, and we can see we are now charging. So with the USB-C connected, we can now connect something into the mains, and if we actually unplug that, plug this in, plug that into the mains, and then if we plug that into another phone, there we go. You can see the little charging symbol in the middle. It's because the phone is completely powered down, so it's charging from flat, or from off, rather than a running phone. So that's now charging that one as well. So we've got a couple of phones, one running on 230 volt AC, the other running on USB-C, and we can see our output is 10 watts, and we've got 11.8 hours estimated of power, and we've still got 100% battery. So now if we have a look at the accessories, we'll see why this other USB-C is an input. So in the accessory pack we have this cable, which is a standard kettle lead to domestic 3-pin plug. That's for charging it, and with the decent Jackery cable ties that do hold these cables very well. So we'll have a look at charging it with that in a moment. But we also got this strange connector, and this is USB-C and the solar charging socket on the other side. It's also the same as like a 19-volt power laptop power supply connector. So we've seen this connector on one of the other units, and this is the same connector which will be on the cable from a Jackery Solar Saga solar panel. So that's why we've got this. So that can be connected into that input there, and a solar panel connected to this, and that will then charge it. As we don't have one of those and we're indoors with no sun, we should turn that off, and we should turn that off, and we shall connect in the mains cable and see it recharging from mains. Although the battery is at 100%, so we have the connector here on the end, and connect that in there, and as I suspected, as the battery is at 100%, it's not actually charging. There's no need for it to accept any power. If we'd run down a bit, it would actually be recharging it, but at the moment it has no need to charge. So it does manage its charging itself, and because it is a solar generator, it will manage the solar input properly. It has the additional circuitry in here to cope with solar input, and that's important. Not everything can cope with solar input, but because this is a solar generator, it does have that additional circuitry to cope with the variability of solar panel output. So it's not like other units which are just generators and can be plugged into the mains and charged up. As it's a solar generator, it has that extra circuitry. So that again is the Jackery Explorer 300 plus solar generator, the perfect unit for taking camping, taking out and about, using in the garden, using in remote places, and also probably keeping in the car just in case. It will provide you with 230 volt power up to 300 watts with 600 watt peak, which is a very good capability. And if you wanted to use this, you could use this in a similar way to a UPS, so you could keep it permanently plugged in for charging and run a device from here. And obviously if the mains gets cut, if there is an interruption to the mains, this device is going to keep going because of the power that's in the battery. It will last obviously as long, depending on the requirement of the device that you've connected into it, but as long as you get your mains back within a reasonable period of time, you're going to be uninterrupted. So it's an inverter, it's a battery, it's a solar generator, and it's a great product. So yeah, can't really say any more other than thank you again for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.